guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Spencer.
And I'm Dan.
This is the Board Game Rundown. Today we have got games we played, news, crowdfunding, and an interview with a designer of a game that I just got and I like playing. That's Cameron Dueker from Redline.
I was about to say, you worded it like it was a secret, and then it instantly came out.
I just want to see if people are paying attention.
Right.
They're not.
That's all. That's all. But
And new development, you have a voice.
yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
It's still it comes and
Yes.
goes a little bit, but it's back more than it was when we did Descent.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Yep.
But yeah, anyways, we do have a Descent unboxing. If you want to be surprised like Dan and I were when we opened up that big old box. Where was that? Oh, there it is.
There it is.
I'm not going to spoil anything about it here.
But, no, I'm just kidding.
But, Redline. No, just kidding. So we got to do our normal housekeeping. So as you know, right now we've got a subscription drive. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. And we did.
Thank you, everyone who supported us.
Please don't leave now.
Right. Yeah. Really, it's been a lot of fun. It's been kind of like checking all the time. You know, like please let us get there. Yeah.
We are constantly. This isn't just like let's get to 500 because that'll be cool. Like we are constantly trying to improve this show. There's going to be some drastic changes coming in the next couple
very
months,
soon.
improvement wise, and you know, you guys showing that you're supporting us while we do this is incredible because this is just something we do for fun.
Yeah.
Currently. There are benefits, of course, like interviewing game designers. Honestly, I feel like if you guys reached out hard enough, you might be able to too, just get on the right forums and everything. But you know, there are some benefits. But we do this because we love doing it, and having you guys show us support like that, and reaching 500 with you guys, and then having the comments you guys gave us with your support, with your congratulations and everything. It's not overlooked. We try to respond to all your guys' comments. We're very busy. We all have jobs out of this, except for him. But and so having your guys' support is incredible. But anyway, off my soapbox now.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I just want to, and we're gonna say the name because he was that was his YouTube profile, right? I mean, that's what we said.
Obviously, he doesn't care that his name is public because it's his YouTube profile.
Sure.
Name.
So we have. I want to just say thank you and congratulations to Alan Buckner. And his comment on the thread was looking forward to seeing more from you guys. So that means don't unsubscribe,
Yeah.
Mr. Buckner.
Just because
please.
you want to get.
But Bob, what are we sending him?
That's a lot of game.
That's a lot of game. We're going to
God.
send you. Now we did open it,
Yeah.
and it's punched. It's been put out on the table and everything. But it's an Edge of Darkness. It's complete.
It is.
And we are going to send that to you. So just email us, reach out to us with your shipping information so that we can get this bad boy in the mail to you
Tim,
as soon as we
let
can.
me calculate shipping costs.
Oh, yeah. How much? Yeah, we're going to be prepared for a bill. At least he's using something that could be perceived as a calculator.
Yep.
Instead
Sorry,
of
looks like
this.
you're going to owe us free
gratis.
Free gratis.
Yeah. So again, guys, thank you. We're open to suggestions. You got other ideas on like things you'd like to see in the show? I mean, holler at us. Let us know.
And to you, Alan, you can either message our Facebook because we'll get that, or all you guys out there too. You can always just email us at boardgamerundown@gmail.com. We have a Gmail, and you guys feel free to send us messages about just your opinions on stuff.
Things you'd like to see.
Yeah. Either one. Join our Facebook group and message us privately there, or
I think
email.
it'd be fun to see if anybody would be interested in having like a little like every once in a while we do a thing where we randomly pick somebody that wants to come on the show and do a top 5 with us.
Oh, sure, yeah, like
that'd be
they'll
cool.
be the Skype in guest.
Yeah, we just Skype you in and
part of the show.
Be part of the show for 20, 30 minutes and we do like a little top 5, just bam, 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 and you pick the list and we'll all just pick the games. I would say pick Abstract Strategy because that's Dan's favorite.
Yeah. Don't do Celtic nice.
No.
I can't even say it anymore.
Move on from that.
Don't do that though.
Right. But thank you guys. Obviously, we're going to continue to try to grow and improve. And we want to do more fun things in the future, but it was really fun to reach this milestone, and I'm really glad we were able to do it.
Yeah.
And again, congratulations, Alan Buckner. You got a beast on your hands here
beast.
to unpack.
I hope you like it. And now
Engage the core.
Now hurry up and get that other get on that Kickstarter for the new one, for the expansions.
Yep.
You're good to go. All right, so we're going to get into games we played.
We got some games we played this week, guys.
Oh, we played some games.
We played some games this week. I don't know if that surprises you.
So Spencer's been gone for like 3 years, so he's got a lot of games.
Cannot mention every single game.
I'm going to mention every single game.
Just don't go into detail. Okay, so Spencer,
only on a couple of them.
Just fire them off.
First, I played King of Tokyo because I just got the new expansion.
Love it.
The expansion for
like
it.
Power Up?
Oh,
yeah,
Power Up, not new
I played that
expansion.
so many times because we were at a vacation and there were a lot of kids there, and oh my gosh,
Everybody loves
would
it, right?
not stop playing it.
Power Up is in almost everyone's top 3 essential expansion list. If you have King of Tokyo, not Power Up, get it.
Yeah. Then I played Moonrakers. I got to play it. It has actually really good solo mode. And player versus player. I like the game. It's a deck builder, but you have a ship and you're putting upgrades on it.
Okay.
And in the deck builder, you only have one action, and you have to build off those actions with different cards that also match up a contract. But you also get these crew members who add cool abilities and stuff. So it was a pretty solid game.
Yeah. I'm interested in how that plays solo. You said it plays good because a big part of Moonrakers is when you're going on quests, you can invite other people along on your quest, and then you divvy out the rewards. You can say like, hey, you join me and you roll the danger die, but I'll give you this many of the benefit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
it doesn't score the same way as it does in the multiplayer.
Sure.
So that's why that's their way of making it up.
Right on.
We played Cosmic Wimpout. We played Race for the Galaxy Arc number 2.
Okay.
I got to play Aggretsuko, the work rage balance.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's just it's a card game. It's kind of like a trick taking game, but not quite.
Okay.
Like a poker game.
Sure.
But you have to match better than the other person's hand with the same number of cards.
Sure.
So if I start off the round with only one card, we're only going to do one card for that round.
Best card wins. Yeah.
Until you get something called a rainbow bomb, and that just messes everything up.
okay.
Let's see. I also played Monty Python Fluxx.
Nice.
I've had this game forever.
So really quick, what's the gimmick in that one?
The gimmick is you have to know Monty Python.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say a lot of them have like one weird gimmick in the game,
And then the rules are always
and then
changing.
the rule.
No, but like one of the rules on there is at the beginning of a turn, if you can sing a song from Monty Python, you get to draw another card.
So literally the gimmick is knowing Monty Python.
Yeah,
Got
and
it.
if you can sing one that hasn't been played before, you get to draw 2 cards. Or if you can keep up an accent that's really terrible for the entire round, you get an extra action. Things
Challenge
like that.
accepted.
Absolutely.
Neat.
Then
Also counts as a song.
and then I was at a birthday party with my brother, and he had Gloom.
Oh,
Have you
right.
guys
On.
played
I've
Gloom?
always wanted to play Gloom. I own
game.
Gloom.
Okay, so Gloom is a storytelling game,
Right.
at its core, really. Oh, I love it. Oh, as a writer, that was so fun figuring out the character over here. I'm trying to make his characters do well, and he's trying to make them suffer.
Right.
So
every player has a family, and you're trying to kill your own family.
Yes.
but only if they're in absolutely suffering.
Right. You want them to die when they have as negative victory points as possible.
Yes, exactly. And of course, I made his guy fall in love with a duck. So yeah.
It's a cool game. I don't get the storytelling element that you do from it, but also I'm just not in that same world as
I've
Reiner
always
for you.
heard it described as a storytelling
That's
game,
so
though.
weird to me because
but it's
you're
great.
just playing cards and because the storytelling, I guess, is you play a love card on this person, and then you kind of explain, oh, this person had a good day today, and they came home and fell in love with a duck. So I guess it's storytelling, but it's all just on the players to do that while playing cards. It's not like the cards have a bunch of text on them.
Well, there is a little bit of text, but you're supposed to be working off of the story. So
Okay.
he'll do this thing, and I'll do that, and explain how.
Okay,
it works
I've only
into
played it
this.
once a long time ago. I
So
just
you
don't
still gotta
remember
make
that.
it make sense.
Have you played Call to Adventure?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I got Catan Starfarers.
Yes.
Oh, that
Great
I have
game.
to agree.
So
that
good.
is a
Such
definite
an
upgrade
upgrade.
from
Best
Catan.
Catan there
Oh my
is.
gosh!
So good.
If you haven't played it, go find a friend who has it because it's expensive.
Or if you trade Catan, because almost everyone has, and you like it,
you will love this.
It's a price drop. But Starfarers of Catan, or Catan Starfarers, I think is what the newer one is.
It's not a drop.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
so good.
The way it
you are
balances is
dropping
better.
a lot of cash on it. That's what
It's got these really cool rockets that tell you how far you move.
Yep, your mothership augments all your other ships.
You're adding things to
how
it.
you can accomplish quests based on the customization of your ship.
In fact,
And
there's quests.
it has asymmetric abilities, but you don't just get handed one. You have to earn it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I love just on the Starfarers real quick, that, because a lot of times in Catan, I'm on a 6 and an 8. I should be great. And then no one rolls 6s and 8s. You could be on the best numbers and still never get resources. In the Starfarers, depending on how close you are to winning, you start out
You're always
receiving
get a bunch of resources.
bonus resources. Yes, you're always getting
It
something.
also has a
helps.
really cool catch-up mechanic.
Yes.
Built into Starfarers.
And you're
Yes.
not going to end up having that situation that's so common in the way most people play Catan, where I have a 6 and 8 and a 6, and I'm just going to be right there.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do that in this game because
Correct.
they're preset.
Yep.
All
Anyways.
right, then I played another storytelling game called Untold: Adventures Await. Now, this one I say is a storytelling game. I don't mean it's like a game that you tell a story. This is, you are telling a story, and they just kind of wrap a game around it.
Okay.
And actually, I had a blast. Don't go into it with a character you like or you know something about. Because, as a writer, and if you've ever done NaNoWriMo, you don't go into NaNoWriMo with a story you care about, because you will murder that thing. But I went in and I said, okay, we're going to have something like an Indiana Jones adventure. We're going to be two partners. He's going to be the straight guy, and I'm going to be the adventurer. And then as we're going along and telling the story, there are these little chits that you put down and say, this now has to happen. And you're rolling dice. And the picture on the dice, you get to interpret what it means. So, yeah, and then you can move them throughout the story. So those aliens that attacked way back then, they're the reason why this
Chekhov's
happened.
aliens.
Yeah. It was quite fun. And it's designed to be done through multiple games. So episode 1, and then you can drag things from episode 1 into episode 2.
Oh, nice.
Call that a callback.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of fiasco-y. But I like the interpreting of the dice element. But I don't know if you know the game Fiasco, but kind of similar. It's just a storytelling game where you're kind of playing a game at the same time, but it's really just everyone gets a role. Everyone's roles are interlinked somehow. Like, I'm your sister's brother who's married to Bob's character who does this, right?
What does that make us?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then you're just acting is like most of the game and telling a story, And I've always wanted to play Fiasco, but you gotta have the right group.
I'll have
And
to
this
try
sounds similar.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I played Steampunk Rally Fusion. I played Tidal Blades and realized I'd been playing it wrong.
Damn, Tim.
Look, I'm not the only one.
Didn't you teach him how to play?
No. Actually, the problem is in the rule book, it says you're going to take the starting challenges, put them aside for now. We'll deal with those later. And then it never deals with them later. And you have to look on the next paragraph in a little chart that says you should have these things.
Right. It never actually says. So it's kind of a figure it out on your own scenario, because I looked over the rule book while I was at Spencer's. And basically what it is it says everyone has their own starting quests, set those to the side. Then at the end of setup, it says every player should now have these, and it lists the 3 starting quests under that, meaning you should have your 3 starting quests.
Yep.
When you have a quest, it's in your hand. You can do it at any time.
Yep.
So that's what that means. It's now anytime you can do it. They were thinking you still had to take an action to acquire your starter quest.
Yeah, so
It just
they just need
makes
to
a
fix
very tight,
much tighter if
restrictive
you're
game
not,
even more.
Yeah.
And it really opened the game up, having those
See, I need to
free
play
quests.
it again now with that, because when we played it before, I guess for me, Tidal Blades felt like a lot of work for not
For not a lot of reward. Yeah.
a lot of reward.
So-
and that includes setting up the board.
Yeah.
Because the modular game board is not actually modular.
No.
It needs to go in that
Well, I will say,
specific
you said
order
I want to play
every
again
time.
with that, but when we played, we always did play correctly with the starting quest
Did we?
thing. Yeah. You just start with your quests, and you can complete them whenever you want.
I don't
Because
know.
they have your character's
Yeah.
image on
Yeah.
it, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
have
maybe
your
we did
character's
some of
image on them, and they're really easy quests, so you can start improving your stats
Maybe
right
I
away.
just need to play it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still like the game.
Sure.
I like it. I got to play just one last night. It was great. We
Not
lost.
last night, but that's fine.
2 nights ago.
We
lost.
How do you
whatever.
lose at just one?
We decided
they played the way that I always play, and I don't know if they played it before, but basically it's just full cooperative, just one, and you just the person gets a card, they say the number, and then if the person guesses it right, you put it face up on the table. If they guess it wrong, you put it face down on the table, and then when you guys call the game, whichever pile has more in it, you won or lost.
Okay. Sure.
That's how we usually do it.
we ended up doing it the recommended number of cards.
Right, it was exactly 13 cards, which is what the rulebook says to play with, which is funny because at the beginning of the night, I was like, just rip that rulebook up. No one follows the rules. Who cares? And we played my way, and we wound up playing exactly according to the rules.
13 rounds.
And when I looked,
wow.
And when I looked at the back of the book and said, "How well are you doing?" If you had this many, we were like, "Good try."
Yeah, it was basically like maybe play again.
Maybe just one isn't for this group.
It was funny though because when we called it, it was at the end of the round. We called it and we checked the piles and it was 6 and 6. It was like, okay, well
It's
we
a
can't
tie.
end with a
Oh, you gotta
tie.
do one
We'll do
more.
one more, and that makes it a 13th card, which was the correct amount
And
to
you
play in the
whiffed
game.
on your
And
last
we whiffed on
card.
our
Yeah,
last
which was
card.
Spencer.
just
The
one.
right.
You're the ones who gave me the clue.
They were your clues.
Finally, we also played Dune Imperium. For the first time, I got to play Dune Imperium.
I had
Nice.
to teach 3 people Dune Imperium. I think I did a pretty good job.
It was awesome.
Since he said he loved it, Jonathan said he wanted to buy it when we were done, and I didn't get much out of.
I
out
think
of Big
he
Dan,
liked it
but he
because-
seemed to like it.
Yeah.
So it came down extremely close the game. On the very last round, you're trying to get to 10 points. We were all tied for 8 points.
I have never seen it that close. I don't know about you, but like usually there's one person kind of trailing behind, and then one person jumps ahead and starts the last round, and everyone tries to race up and catch them. We were all at 8 starting the last round, and it was just that push.
Wow.
I've never seen it be that close before.
And even that push, I won, but only because the stars happened to align and everything that happened was perfect for me to win.
Yep.
If any of that didn't happen, Big Dan would have won.
Yep.
And there was no way I could have stopped it.
Yeah.
It was such a close game. I
on.
loved it. It was fun. At first, it was frustrating with that mechanic where you can't go where you need to go, but I found out there are ways around it. Not necessarily going there. I need to increase my alliance with the Fremen, and I could never get
Oh,
there.
sure.
But there are other cards that let you do that without going there.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah. I
That's
liked it.
definitely what helped you get a victory is
Oh,
his
yes.
deck was so much alliance cards.
Yeah.
Like, man, those things, if you can get a lot of alliance cards to constantly go over to those faction tracks, it's really good. I was having a lot of trouble, and Jonathan, too, I think, was having a lot of trouble getting those faction cards. You were buying them up a lot.
I was
and
buying them up.
It was helping.
And yeah, in the end, I only ended up with one alliance. We all did have
Yeah,
one
we
alliance.
all ended with one alliance too,
And it's only
they
'cause
were
I
they were
stole it.
constantly being stolen too.
Oh, wow.
I've
Yep.
never seen them stolen that much. They were like the not the Fremen one, the second one I think. Right, I think it was the second one up. But
the
anyway,
Spacing Guild.
it's not Emperor, not Spacing Guild, not
Oh,
Fremen.
the Bene Gesserit.
So Bene Gesserit, yeah, that one literally. Sorry,
that one went like through 3 people.
it literally went to. It was at least 3 of us, maybe all 4 of us had that one at one point. I mean, they
Wow.
were traded constantly, and then at the end of the game, each of us had one. I was like, "This is amazing! I've never seen this game play
Yeah.
so perfectly."
Nice.
So we played one more game, but we'll talk about that one later.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure. What do you got, Bob?
Me? I taught a couple people how to play Lords of Vegas.
Oh.
They loved it. We had a
course they did,
lot of
'cause
fun.
They're not Dan.
Yeah.
It's an excellent game.
And like trades were made, and like we were all betting on our own individual like casino. Like we each had like a 9-block casino. Like they were huge, right? And we're just waiting for that one card to flip. Whoever's card flip gets paid out. Ben ended up winning.
oh,
Oh wow,
It was so
Pure
close.
luck.
Yeah. But no, it was a lot of fun. Plus I got all the cool bits and whatnot.
I have, but have not tried the Up expansion for it yet. Have
Correct.
you tried it yet?
I have that. No, because every time I've taught, I've played. I've been
Oh, you're
teaching
always teaching
game,
people,
so
yeah,
I leave
yeah.
those out.
You
'Cause I
think
haven't done them either.
You think it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's my problem with Race for the Galaxy.
yeah.
It was a teaching game.
Well,
Yeah.
that game's always hard. That game, from what I've heard, is kind of hard to teach even base game, just because all the
yeah, so I
iconography.
gotta
and
play
everything,
it before I
Yep.
can introduce all the other stuff.
After that, we played Gorinto,
Oh,
which we
nice.
just recently
Yeah,
talked about and did a
reviewed,
review
yep.
for. What would that be, Dan? If we did a review,
I
for
think it would
that?
be right about there.
Oh, yep, okay. Yeah, and they loved it. Like, first they're like, Brandon was like, well, and then we started playing. He's like, okay, that was a lot of fun.
Literally, everyone has been like that so
Yeah.
far. So if you are looking
If
at
you're like,
Gorinto and you're like,
get it, you'll like it.
I was like that. Tim was like that. Bob was like that. And
Yeah.
the people he just taught was
Yeah,
like
we're-
that.
yeah.
So or were like
might
that.
go
So
next.
Insane.
Yeah. It was great
I'm
though.
glad that
even Sarah said that looks neat.
Yeah.
So I might be
think
able to
she
get her
liked it.
next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one that like I know I can take over the in-laws
Yeah.
and get played and stuff,
Yep.
and they're gonna have a good time. So
Yep.
And then I had one more that we'll talk about later.
sure.
Okay.
I didn't play a ton, so like a lot of Magic the Gathering, a lot
Yep.
of Ascension, a lot of Star Realms with a
Yep.
couple different people. Troy, Julia, Pat. I got like ongoing games all
Sure.
the time, and I'll save the last one for when we talk to because you
Now?
played it too. You got games you
So
played.
you're talking about the just me and you one?
Oh wait, no.
There we
Oh
go.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I got to hit that one. I
Yeah.
forgot all about that one, and that one was so much fun.
Yeah.
So Dan and I had an opportunity to get on with Alex from Gobico Games, and we
Okay.
played Nersha
Okay.
on Tabletop Simulator.
Nice.
And we filmed it.
Yep, it'll be up. As a matter of fact, it should already be up. So there you go. That's a full playthrough of Nersha with a kind of interview with Alex. It's more of just talking about
It's
gameplay.
3 full playthroughs.
You're right. We
Oh
played
my.
3 rounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Nersha, it was pretty fun. So basically it's you are trying to get your people.
It's an abstract strategy game.
Yep. that
So
Dan
just so
loves.
that you're in the right
And
genre.
You liked it?
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
got these tiles, and there's different obstacles or whatever. But more or less, when you move your piece, it's got to move as far as it can until it hits something. Okay, that will stop it. The only thing you can't do is slide it into an opponent's village. You're trying to get all your pieces all the way across the board to your village, and they are trying to get theirs to their village. So there's you can block movement. There's a lot of strategy. First game, Dan and I, Dan moves, and I just kind of counter move. Then he leaves an opening.
Yep.
He gets sloppy. He falls asleep.
I
just
left,
waiting for me
I left
to.
the opening on purpose. You're talking about the first score in the first
No,
game.
I'm just talking about winning.
Oh,
the first
okay.
game.
Got it.
Yeah, so the first score in the first game, Dan left it. Somebody has to like leave something
Eventually leave it
open.
open.
Well, it gets to the point where you just have to accidentally leave an opening, right?
So-
Because you have to always move a piece that didn't move previously.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
Yeah.
the awesome thing about it though is so I can't just slide my same piece back and forth. When you move a piece, you take what they call the capstone and you put that on the piece you just moved. That piece cannot move. So then next turn you've got to move a different piece. Then that capstone can come off. Now if you have no eligible moves, your move is basically pulling your capstone off and not doing anything. But yeah, so Dan leaves an opening, I score. Then Dan I play some defense. Then Dan gets like 2 scores real quick,
Yeah.
and then it was like move.
Yeah, again, it was that whole you
had
can't move
him.
the same piece twice, and he basically trapped my guy, right? To
yeah.
where there was only one guy I could move, and because of sliding mechanics, right? Think that Tim has to score here and my guy's here. Well, if I move that guy, it just keeps going. So it doesn't matter. I can't stop and block Tim, so I just slide that guy past, and he's like, no, and then Tim just goes right in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had set up so that it wouldn't take a lot of moves for me to get that third piece in relatively quick. Because that was the whole thing. I didn't want to give Dan a chance to then block me, and now we're going back and forth for that last guy because I would have to leave myself open, right? I would have had to free up that piece that I had trapped. And so I was able then to score relatively quickly. Then we played a different layout.
Yep. Alex
With
basically just added
portals.
some portals to the board.
So when you pop into a
Nice.
portal, you can either pop to another portal, or if there's if people are
Someone's
sitting
standing on it?
on them, then you can stay there. And then when you start your next turn, if there's a portal open, you can move to the other portal, or you could just move off that piece normally.
Which I find funny because all of the game is perfectly sensible, right? There's valleys, there's trees, or forests, there's mountains, there's lakes. You're sliding around on ice. And then also if you want to use portals, you can do something. It's just like,
Totally natural.
It's just
There's
like,
magic.
oh, okay.
What do you think Stonehenge is?
Yeah.
So the portals were really cool. Dan smoked me on that map. Then Dan threw winner. We decided winner of that got to make a map.
Okay.
Right. So Dan made a map we called Disaster.
Yeah, we called it Disaster. I threw together a map really quick, and Tim said, Dan, this is a disaster. And I said, well, that's the name, so funny that you would say that.
Now the lakes, this one had lakes in it, and lakes, if you move your piece into a lake, it falls
out
in
of the game.
and it's gone.
Oh, and again, remember, you have to make a move if you can, and you can never move the same piece twice. So you can trap someone where their only move is moving that piece into the lake. right?
Which I tried really hard to do. I
Right.
almost got no pieces actually went
No
into
piece
the
went
lake.
to the lake. My guy was skirting around that lake the whole time though, and Tim just couldn't catch him.
I couldn't box him in, but I did pull out a victory.
He did. It was a close one, and he got the map I made was accidentally really interesting.
It was really
because
good. It was really
your piece can never. So the enemy base is behind where you start, right, and they have to cross. Your piece can never move towards an enemy base. So if my piece slides forward towards my base but is blocked, I can't. It can never move backwards unless there's something behind him to hit
to stop it.
right? So in my map though, I just kind of accidentally threw this together, but I had some forests kind of symmetrically laid
So
out.
forests stop your movement,
Forest stop your movement when you hit it, kind of like a portal.
Sure.
but you land in it.
But the forests were in front of the bases, meaning all of a sudden you can move backwards now this game because your piece will hit the forest and stop before hitting the base, and it completely changed the game. Like it was really interesting
Required
to see how that happened.
a whole different set of strategy.
Yeah.
And it was really
Nice.
it's really neat. Nersha's really cool.
Definitely gonna look into
The
that.
Really
customizability
cool.
sounds really nice.
So Nersha. Nersha.
Yep.
It's on Kickstarter now.
Yep, I'll have some more information when we get to the Kickstarter segment.
Yeah.
Cool.
But and we played a learning game. We played 3 matches in probably 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was
Wow.
with BSing with Alex the
Right.
whole time.
Nice.
Like this would be a game where we're just waiting for people to show up and you could play.
And the whole point of the game is it's a tile-based game, so you build whatever crazy maps you want. All the games we played were with 5 pieces on each team, but the game comes with like 12 for each team, so you can add more player pieces if you want. And I mean, so it's currently a 1v1, but the whole point of the game is do whatever you want. So just build this big map with a bunch of pieces and do 2v2. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right? The whole point of the game is just build crazy maps and have fun, and I think it has a lot of potential.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure going into it again. Everyone knows. Even Alex was laughing about this because it's abstract strategy. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I don't want to hate on your game. But, and then we played it, and when he first talked about it, I loved the inertia idea, and your
Right.
pieces are sliding, and you just can't control them. And actually playing it played so well.
pretty
And
fun.
again, if it was just a set map and that sliding mechanic, I think it was okay. But the fact that it's a fully customizable, do whatever you want board. I think
blows it up.
It has such
Yeah.
potential.
Just blows it
I
up.
had a great
Awesome.
time.
Yeah, it's really good.
That was awesome.
So yeah.
And then we had one more game to talk
yeah,
about.
we
real
all
quick.
just
you don't have
got
any
away.
other than that?
No, those were my
Okay.
2, Dune Imperium and
Sure.
whatever.
Just one.
Yeah, so we all got to play
just one.
Quests and Cannons
Quest and Cannons.
from is it Short Hop Game?
Yep.
Short Hop Games. So yeah, it's a prototype that's been making the rounds. We were lucky enough to get our hands on it and play it. It is basically a pick up and deliver
At heart, yeah.
at heart where you can do a little bit of combat. It's not quite 4X.
I think you could potentially do a lot of combat.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
you can
just
do a
that-
ton of combat.
It's
if
just
you
do a
want.
ton of
that if you
combat.
do a lot of combat, it's going to slow down everything else. So you gotta kind of go for a combat build, like get
Yeah.
quest cards that help
Yep.
with that,
Or
and
use one
stuff.
of the asymmetrical players that's built for the combat
Yeah,
stuff. 'cause,
exactly. That kind of stuff. Because there's definitely a lot of combat in it potentially. But also, like he said in our video preview for it that's going to be right there, he went the whole game without ever firing a shot. And you
Yep.
can totally do that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the 2 things is you're either going to be pick up and deliver quests and treasure maps or fighting. The game's called Quests and Cannons for a reason, right? Pick one
Yep.
Yeah.
and do both.
But it's, I mean, the prototype components, if they're any
So
indicator
cool.
of what the actual finished game's going to look like. I mean, it's beautiful. There's dual layer player boards.
Yeah.
Like your ship boards are fully customizable as you're sliding.
They're shaped like a ship.
Shaped like
Yeah.
a ship, yeah. It looks like it's like laser cut wood, kind
Yeah,
of.
no,
it does
that's
look like
that's
laser cut.
probably just
Prototype?
From,
Yeah.
prototype. But
Oh, okay.
But I
from
mean,
how they
you put the
had it
little
made.
flag with your person's character on it.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
And your
That's
ships
nice.
are moving around the map. Again, the map is modular, so the island layout
Changes.
You can choose how that goes. You can go off of some of the recommendations. Obviously, there's specific ways that they would say, don't have too much of this together or that
Right.
together.
Yeah.
Don't have the entire center of the board just be the Krakens.
Right. Yeah,
Or ultimately,
right.
Yeah.
But-
That's super cool.
but it's really fun. The theme is like on point. If you were looking for like a good piratey,
As long as you're okay, or not even okay with, as long as you don't hate pick up and deliver.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right?
It
Because
is
that is
pick up and-
definitely a lot in this.
But it's a pirate game.
It
I
is.
mean,
Yeah.
you are loot. You're getting goods and loot and
Yep.
sailing the high seas,
Yeah.
right?
plus it's
Yeah,
not just
customizing
pick
your
up and
ship,
deliver.
which is super
no,
cool.
it's not just. I
It's
just
also
feel like
quest. Go over there, do the thing.
Yeah. Like, oh, hey, these people need this. Go pick some up and bring it to us, and we'll give you points.
Right.
Yeah.
But yes, Quests and Cannons, the Risen Islands. It's really, it's solid.
Yep.
It's
Very
a lot
cool.
of fun.
Very cool.
Fantastic. And again, check out that video that was up there for more details because we go more in depth in the preview. But we all do recommend following this one for sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. Ready for news?
Ready for news?
Actually, yeah.
All right. Let's
I got something that might excite Spencer.
And I think I have something to add to the thing that you might have to excite
You have
me.
this.
So
All right, newsboys.
well, I'm gonna jump on this one real
Okay,
quick.
go ahead.
Reiner, our boy Reiner Knizia is
Oh,
back
man,
in
my
the
boy.
news.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah. That's not your friend. That's Glenn Drover.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So Reiner Knizia terminates more planned releases, not only with Grail Games, but now Madagot and Madago, and Colossal.
Oh, wow.
So
These are big companies.
So publishers were making sales in markets that weren't licensed to them, apparently.
Oh.
So that's what it sounds like.
Oops.
Where
That's not
the
kind of news, that's
licensing
how we're going.
agreements. So he's terminating like everything with them.
So this
right
is like
now.
an even worse version of what Simon's been doing with their giving their stuff to, companies.
Yeah, I mean, he
to
probably.
But now
he-
they just don't have the rights to go to
I'm
those
assuming that
companies.
this means that he had deals with people like for exclusivity,
Right.
in certain areas, and those.
You know what? Good for you. I mean, I don't know all the details, Reiner. Maybe you're doing a terrible thing, but from what I've heard, good for you, Reiner, for sticking up for the exclusivity thing. Even though I know that it helps your pocket as well, it's a good moral compass
I agree.
thing.
It is.
I agree.
To stand up for the exclusive. That is a hard word.
If what Dan says is right, I agree.
And then, he just had a Kickstarter called Whale Riders that funded in July of 2020, and that, like, through Grail Games, and even that will not be published anymore past the Kickstarter
Wow.
Oh, sure.
with that current
so
company.
that's truly limited edition. at that
Right. I
point.
mean, he could take that. He
Take
he
the
has
IP.
ownership of the property.
Right,
He could take
sure.
it over and sell it under a different label. But I would just say, like, hey guys, make sure you're honoring your contracts because Knizia is a pretty big name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for him to be pulling his stuff, his licenses and
Yeah.
everything, is kind of huge. I'll let somebody else do something before I go into other bits of news.
I got something. The thing that I said might interest Spencer. I mean, it'll interest all of us, but Spencer especially because it's by Tom Lemon.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Who does Race and Roll for the Galaxy.
Oh, okay, yeah, he's listening.
Yeah.
So by Rio Grande Games as well, we have a game called Dice Realms that has been announced. Did you guys see this?
Nope.
No.
So this is interesting. This is a pretty, like, not heavy as in complicated, but just like there's a lot of stuff going on here with customizable dice.
Whoa!
nice.
So you're
I'm already
popping
in.
off the dice faces
like
and
Dice
changing them.
Forge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're seeing another game finally that is
Nice.
doing this thing we've been wanting to see from Dice Forge.
Yep.
And it's even called Dice Realms. So I don't
Right.
know. But so the realms are your dice. So you are, by popping off the pieces and upgrading them, you are upgrading your realms.
Nice.
Okay.
Right? And then there are things that are going to happen, like seasons that change and stuff, and you want to have your realms survive the winter and stuff. They need to produce enough food, and they need to do stuff like this while you're rolling your realms. To do that, most of the game is simultaneous. You guys are all just reacting to the game, I think. I don't think we're attacking each other. We're
Right.
all dealing with attacks. And then there are like these, I don't know what they're called, but there's like these event cards that you take, and that shows you the die face you're getting for getting that event, all thematic stuff and everything. And there is again, the dice are your realms. So depending on how many dice you have, like the more dice, the more realms you have, the more powerful rolls and realms you have. But the more you have to feed, because each die needs 1 grain at the end of each round or whatever, right? And then when winter comes, also remember that hurts your realms and your crops and everything. So yeah, it's all about It all centers around these customized dice and rolling them and upping your realm.
I love the idea of engine building using your dice.
Exactly.
Customizable dice.
Customizable dice.
yeah.
I
set
don't
up
have
nice
anything else,
combinations.
but I'm just a customizable dice game by the guy who makes Race for the Galaxy, who's very famous for
And-
good engine builder.
And Roll for the Galaxy.
and Roll for the Galaxy. He's very famous for good engine builders and convoluted iconography.
yeah.
All right. Snap.
But it makes sense in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Once you
Gets the
learn
po- gets
it,
the point
it's fine.
across.
Yeah, hard to teach, not hard to play. But yeah, that's all I got. Dice Realms. The box art is stunning. It's this
I'm gonna look
giant
this
die, and all the faces have like the 3D realm sticking out
Oh,
of them.
nice.
It looks
Cool.
so
Yeah.
nice.
No idea when it comes out or anything like that.
No,
Kickstarter,
I didn't know.
or
I didn't see any of that. It
pre-release.
might have said it in,
Just
in
kind of
all the
like
stuff
a
I
generic
read.
announcement
but
that
exactly,
it's coming.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah.
All right, Spencer, what do you got for news?
Okay, I got 2.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Hopefully,
Hopefully. I just saw this one on Twitter. It was just a teaser. Who here likes Smartphone Inc.?
Dan, raise your hand.
Well, Arcane Wonders has teased a spin-off game, Mobile Markets.
Nice.
Unfortunately, that's
That's it. That's
All
all,
you
I
all
got.
I know.
Okay.
They just put a picture up on their Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, a Smartphone Inc. game.
Build the buzz.
Yep, there we go.
Okay.
Start the buzz.
Is it a picture of the box?
I think so.
Does it look like it's as big as this, or does it look like a light game in the
no,
same
I
universe?
don't. I couldn't tell.
Okay, just wondering.
It's so good.
It's
a good game.
It's a very well-made game that I don't enjoy playing because I'm terrible at it. I don't think it's a bad game.
Honest-
When I play this game,
he's
I'm like,
honest.
man, what a good game. But I
I'm not good
am
at it.
terrible at this game, and it's just when you're that bad at something, it's not fun. You don't go to the field and play baseball every day when you've never hit a baseball in your life. You're like, no, I'll go play something else. I've never hit a freaking baseball. So that's just how I am with smartphone.
You could learn to hit a baseball.
Is it
Good.
worth it? There's so many other sports. Yeah.
Yeah, but usually that hand-eye coordination translates to other sports.
Yeah, that's true.
Most successful
Yeah.
athletes?
So
are
being good at
multi-sport
smartphone
athletes.
does not go into other games, though.
It just means you're not good at other games, also.
right.
Okay, Spencer, what's your other bit of news?
Okay, my other little bit of news. I know we talked about this briefly a couple days ago.
One question came. I was just saying.
Omega Virus.
Yep. You got
So,
more?
The Omega Virus remake, I didn't know this, but they also, the company that
prequel.
Restoration Games
Yep.
has released a, now, I don't know if this is news because it's new to me,
Right.
but I haven't seen it anywhere.
He doesn't watch the
The
show,
old-
so this might be
correct.
something previously.
Well,
mentioned.
have you guys talked about Omega Virus Prologue?
Yes.
Yes.
I mentioned it last week. I didn't bring up to you when I was at your house because I figured if you heard of the one, then you heard of the other. We didn't.
No,
I mean,
no.
there's nothing really to talk about though, right? It's like
It's
this
a two-player-
tile laying game and
Well,
or card laying.
Yeah,
game.
it's the two-player game where you're building the map that
Yeah.
you would have for the Omega Virus.
exactly. We covered it briefly.
Okay, well, that was it. So
Okay.
Okay, so Grand Gamers Guild is going to be doing a pre-order soon for a new scenario for Endangered.
nice.
And in theme of Endangered, they're really trying to keep like waste to a minimum. They are also they've teamed up with the Center for Biological Diversity, so a proceed or a portion of the proceeds will get
To them.
of all sales will
Yeah,
go to
yeah.
them. But it is monarchs, so it's monarch butterflies. You're going to
Okay.
get 18 monarch cards, a scenario card, 15 butterfly tokens, a generation board, and no box.
right.
So it's not coming in a box.
Oh,
because
okay.
they just
That'll
want you
cut
to-
the price.
Yeah,
what?
and waste, right?
and
Because-
waste. Yeah.
I'm more
You
worried
know,
about
you
the
take
price.
that box,
though.
you throw the box away.
Wait,
But
what's it
yeah,
coming-
you know what
what's
I'm
it
going to do
coming
is
in,
I'm
a
going to take all the
butterfly net?
bits, I'm going to throw it in my Endangered box.
Yeah.
Right.
Huh.
So
That's awesome.
I thought that was cool. I
Yeah.
really like that.
Minimalistic packaging. Why waste it?
Yeah.
Oh, you ever see old cheap-ass games? It came in
Oh,
envelopes.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the name.
That's literally the name of a company.
Yeah.
Cheap-ass
That's the
Cheap
games.
ass
name. He's not just
They, I
swearing
think,
because
did
he's
they
psycho.
invent Kill Dr. Lucky?
I think they did.
They made Kill Dr.
Yeah,
Lucky.
yeah. And then a little blurb of news for those of you that are interested. Pandemic is now available on Board Game Arena.
Oh, yeah.
So Board Game
Cool.
Arena is a nice website. You can play a ton of games for free. There's also
yes.
like premium options where you can
Right.
spend some money and do some stuff. They do really nice implementations and conversions of board games there.
One of the nice things with Board Game Arena, correct me if I'm wrong, I've only played one thing on it, I think, but Board Game Arena isn't just like Tabletop Simulator. There's actually programming that goes into
correct.
it.
Yeah.
Keeps you from
Correct,
playing
yeah.
it correctly.
Exactly. So Board Game Arena is actually programmed to help you play the game. You're not just moving everything around. on your
I've
own.
played a lot of Dice Forge on Board Game Arena, actually.
really?
Oh, okay.
I played
And
some
it-
Race for the Galaxy.
and
Yeah.
it's
What's
free.
the point of playing a game where you can pop off the dice faces?
Well, if I don't have anybody to play with, and I could just play on my phone with.
But you could just sit there with the
other
dice and go
strangers.
pop, pop.
Okay, you could do that. Bobby, you got any news for?
I don't.
I got to get past this guy.
Yeah, I'm already over it.
All right. All right, let's get into crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding.
All right.
Yeah.
Who's going first?
Sure.
Perfect.
Yeah. I just want to mention again because I played it recently and it's a great game. And I looked to see how long it's going to be on. It's only going to be on through the end of August, maybe a little bit in September because they're looking for an October ship date. But after the Empire, the deluxe versions on GameFound. If you go to GameFound, they'll have a list of all the games on there right now. After the Empire is on there, if you've got the base edition, you can get the deluxe bits. You can buy a solo add-on. You can buy a full-on deluxe version from them. Trays, you can get minis, you can get cubes. They got a lot of options on there, but go check it out. It's a great game, basically worker placement. You're building your own castle, upgrading it to stone walls, and it's tower defense. It's a ton of fun.
When he's building your own castle, he means it.
Yeah.
Giant 3D, think like linking logs.
Yeah,
it's
nice. Big plastic. So you start out with like wooden walls, upgrade them to stone, like I was saying, and like your guys are coming in and attacking your siege towers.
It is a great game.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to some of the expansions we came up with, like spies and
stuff
like that.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll take ideas from us and do some of that. But yeah, but they did announce that they want to keep it open to the end of August, maybe a little bit in September, but they're going to be shipping things in October because it's already been made, right? The game was already on Kickstarter, so it's kind of like late pledging, and you can still get on the bandwagon. And
I really like what I really respect and like how they have run
that campaign.
Yeah,
same,
really good.
Yep.
I have one, Empire Plateau.
Yeah,
by
I saw
Francis Games. It runs till September 9th. This one is an abstract 2-player game.
Yeah.
I found it a little ugly.
It was interesting, I thought.
I mean, it might be a great game.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
It was
like,
either
art-wise.
2 or 4 players.
Okay.
So you can't do 3. But yeah, it's like chess. So there's no dice, there's no luck. It's all just skill. It's a large round map with these nodes around it, and I think you said you move 6. You have 6 moves, and the idea is to land on your enemy's base to win.
It's the round map too is like a top down of Earth.
Yeah.
And it looks like just from the picture, I don't know, but it looks like the spaces you're moving on or the lines you're moving on is like the longitude latitude lines.
Yes.
That's what's separating the board.
Okay.
And then you're moving around in this abstract strategy game.
Yeah, pretty much. And price point $52 if you want the actual game. If you want to get some coasters or something, you can look for those up.
Sure.
Yeah, look for those.
Right on. Dan?
Mine's Nersha.
Oh, Nersha, cool. Yeah, I'll go into mine. Mine's the big boy on the block for right now until Simon does theirs. But Archon Games has on GameFound right now Masters of the Universe, Fields of Eternia. Now, I'm a child of the 80s. I mean, He-Man was a big part of my childhood. I had a ton of the toys. I had Eternia, like the whole thing I got for Christmas one year. But this is basically like a dudes on a map, except you're playing... it can play 1 to 6 players, and you're playing basically good guys versus bad guys. So if you're playing with more than 2 players, it's going to be teams.
Okay.
So you're going to pick characters from your faction, right? Good guys or bad guys. You're going to run multiple characters. You're running around. You're recruiting soldiers. You're like building vehicles, I guess. And you're trying to take over Eternia,
You don't
right?
build vehicles. You just turn your cat into a mount and you ride it into battle.
I want to play as Lionel.
Ugh.
I want to say from initial looks, I didn't notice. I'm a little disappointed. No Orko.
Yeah, but it does have Mechaneck.
Sure.
And Fisto and Faker and
no
Buzz-Off
Orko.
and Whiplash and Manny Face.
I was always a Thundercats guy.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought you
man.
said that on purpose.
No, I did, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Wasn't She-Ra in Eternia?
Oh, yeah. No, she's one of the main characters.
She's one of the main characters.
Yeah.
No.
The only thing I know about He-Man is that, like,
Is this old school She-Ra or is this
that
Netflix
meme
She-Ra?
thing.
I don't really know what Netflix.
No.
I don't really know what Netflix She-Ra is, so I'm gonna just say old school She-Ra.
Okay, probably
because
that,
this
yeah.
looks like old school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He-Man stuff.
Helmet and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, for Jason, our friend at the Board Game Mechanics, he's going to be into this.
Lots of
'cause
tracks.
Tons of minis.
Oh, that's what I meant.
And the base game is like 99 euros, and the collector's pledge, which is everything, which is a couple of expansions, blah blah blah, is 179 euros.
It's pricey.
That actually doesn't seem that bad because
With everything.
I'm all giddy about getting Iridia, which is 160 for the base.
Right.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, there's a lot of content
There
in
is.
this, and there's a lot of like the artwork and the colors are very vibrant. The artwork looks really good. I mean, the board even looks like it's like the same font and stuff from like the cartoon. So I mean, it all feels on theme. This is gonna be a tough one for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm really tempted.
If there's an Orko add-on, I'll pay you the money for the add-on.
Fair enough.
Nice,
Okay.
nice.
Fair enough. But that's mine.
Which actually evens out if we pay him
Yeah, for the other add-ons.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna get we covered it earlier a bit, but we might as well mention the Kickstarter info during the Kickstarter segment. So for Nersha by GoBeGo Games, designed by Dave Ballmer and the other people, Alex help and stuff, but it is under Dave Ballmer, right? So the Kickstarter finishes August 27th. So if you're interested, make sure to check out that link, watch the playthrough and the interview video, and the Kickstarter link will be in the description, as well as a link to the TTS download so that you can play yourself. It is open to the public to play on Tabletop Simulator. But yeah, so that gives it a little under 2 weeks now. Well, by the time this comes out, it'll probably be around 9 days, something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's a 2-player abstract strategy game. For $39, you get the base game. For $59, you get the deluxe edition, which upgrades some of the components. Comes with a really big, pretty playmat. You'll see the playmat in the TTS video. We are playing on the playmat so we're playing on a mat in digital space. Whoa, the future. It ships with 12 maps. Although, again, these are just recommended maps from easy to complex. You can build whatever you want. These are just the recommended, these have been tested.
Some ideas,
maps. Yeah. And then I already said this earlier, but the tile types are valley, home, mountains, forests, lakes, and portals. And then they
all
are
naturally occurring things.
Every single one. I have ran into every single one in my life. But the only last bit of information, and again, this excites me, and I fully trust it. They are expecting a November ship date for this game, and I fully trust it because Runes of Zun was like the fastest shipping I've ever seen. This company is very good at shipping, and it helps that they make games that are not extremely complex component-wise and stuff, right? They can get that stuff together and get it out. But obviously, there's a little bit more to this than Runes of Zun, a card game. But Runes of Zun came so fast; it came before I knew it was shipping. So I truly believe this November ship date.
The regular truck was faster than the email.
Right, exactly.
That's fast.
They're driving down the road and they see the sparks on the on the
faster, we're catching up.
No, they're really good. They're really good. And Alex says this at least once or twice during our playthrough, where he's like, they just want to have a game where you can just do what you want with it. Just play.
Right, and GoBeGo also focuses on, by the way, it's GoBeCo. Get it? As in Gobi Company? Because the CO is a different color than the Gobi in there. Yeah. We've been wondering how to pronounce it, but now that you know the Co is separate, it makes sense. But anyway, the GoBeCo is very good at saying people like Magic the Gathering, people like Uno. Uno's too simple. Magic the Gathering is too difficult. Let's make Runes of Zun, right? And then same thing with this. People like chess. People like all these other games. People don't want to invest in chess and they don't want to play these other games. So boom, in the middle, Nersha. That's kind of what they focus on. And so far they've done a great job with it. I think that's their model, and they stick to their model.
They're really good. No, and they're good people. I mean, we've had good experiences with them. So Alex has been really good to us.
Yeah, we had an interview with Alex. Right?
Yeah, we did.
I
don't know.
We might be out of snap.
We might be out of snaps, but maybe. So there's that, and Dave is super active in emails, and Alex, as you've seen, has come on the show twice, and just chill.
Yeah. Good time.
Yeah.
Good times. All right, guys. So before we get into the interview, just a little bit of housekeeping, I guess. Make sure you check out our friends at the Miniatures Rundown.
Yeah.
Sister channel.
You will see Jeff there, as well as CJ. Then you will, and then also check out our buddies over at the Board Game Mechanics, because they hate Dan. It's hilarious.
Yep. Something we have in common.
Yeah. Right.
But Jason puts out a ton of YouTube videos all the time.
Yeah.
The way he cranks them out, I am jealous. And he does a really good job. He covers a lot of games that I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
So he's very prolific. Katie's got some not so boring unboxings. Dan, right? They also have a weekly podcast, and they foster an amazing community of gamers over there on their social networks. So I would I hope that one day the Rundown page can be as positive and supportive as their page.
Yeah, because currently it's just a negative mess.
Because I'm the only one that posts on there. And it's just be my friend, guys. Please, somebody
and
talk
block?
to me. Yeah, unsubscribe. But yeah, now we're going to go into an interview with Cameron Dueker from Saving Throw Studios and talking about Redline, the tactical card game.
Yep, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey guys, with us today we have Cameron Dueker from Saving Throw Studios, and he's going to talk to us about Redline Tactical Card Combat. He's got an upcoming Kickstarter for an expansion for this. I was an early backer of Redline when we started doing the show, and we were doing research for Kickstarters because that was one of the things we wanted to talk about. This was one that Dan and I kind of got excited about because we, I don't know, like to beat up on each other in games, I guess.
Yeah, it's also I've told the story before in the past, but one of the first games I ever worked on myself was a very similar idea, not around Ifrits and mechs, but around this type of card system with how your missions are kind of a terrain kind of mechanic in there and stuff, and like trying to figure that out. And it never really went anywhere because I was working on that when I was like 16, and like just over years kind of working on ideas and stuff, right? But so I saw this and I was like, man, that's like so similar to this thing I was working on, and it was so cool to see someone succeed at something I failed, right? So that's kind of where my attention came from for this.
Right. So obviously you had a really successful Kickstarter with Redline. And this is your first game, right?
Yeah. It was awesome. A lot of trial by fire, learn as you go, seat of your pants type of thing, which I guess that's how it's supposed to be, right?
Sure.
I like to say that we were like an old school Kickstarter, man. Everyone now is so polished, and it's really, it's not what it used to be. So we were kind of, like I said, OG Kickstarter, man. We were small, we were scrappy, and it's a great platform to connect with gamers and share your products. And so it did a lot of help for us. It was a lot of fun and a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, so how long did it take you to get Redline? Like, how long were you working on it from when it was just an idea to actually throwing it up on Kickstarter and saying, okay, let's see if this works?
So I'm gonna try and give you the short, complete answer. It actually started back in 2016. It had this weird idea to make a mobile game, and so that's where the lore, the Ifrits, a lot of the initial art came from this kind of mobile game idea. My background, I'm just a history teacher, guys, and single dad. So I don't know why, looking back, I thought I could make a mobile game, but got kind of far. We got an alpha made. You could actually dink around with it. But bridge too far, and that ended up kind of collapsing under its own weight. But we had all this great stuff, right? And I'm like, damn, this sucks. I know sooner or later the stars will align, and I can do something with it. I'm a big Magic player and stuff like that, and I kind of knew in the back of my head that was probably going to be where we were going to go.
Yeah.
But just when the time was right to get going. So I think just last year during Corona, actually, couldn't hang out with my gaming group. I kind of need something to do with all my energy. And so Redline, as it is now, the card game, really is a Corona baby.
Nice.
Have a lot of free time, and we just pushed hard to get it made, tested, developed, all that stuff basically during the Corona pandemic. So
that's awesome.
I love
benefit of quarantine.
I love a history teacher obviously casually drops a bridge too far as an expression for overreaching.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I just love it. Thematic.
Well, so that was you mentioned something, and I know. So Bob hasn't played this yet, but I have a feeling this game will click with Bob for words you just said. Bob and I used to play Magic together.
Yeah.
I mean, also D&D and other role playing games and stuff too. But when we first started hanging out, it was like, oh, you play role-playing games, and then it's like, oh, you play Magic.
Yeah.
And Bob is like an OG Magic player.
I got all my stuff from the 90s and stuff. Yeah.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, that's when I started as well.
So
started playing Magic beta.
And we like deck builders, especially where you can really start to customize and like streamline and
your deck.
Deck. And so I got to play this with a buddy who incidentally hates deck builders
and just like card dueling games in general.
Yeah. I dusted him.
He's a miniatures guy.
I felt bad. He is a miniatures guy.
Yeah.
But Dan was watching like a hawk, like over. And
I was kind of rules lawyer being there like, I think you guys are doing that right.
Yeah. But I have to say though, it's really awesome because you have this universe where there's in it. Now it makes sense where you've got all this lore that feels lived in. If it feels complete. Like you really do feel like the whole scenario makes sense. And it's not just like a pasted on, oh, this is just, well, we like Mech Warrior stuff, like we'll just throw that, on there. And so it's kind of cool to hear that you were working on a completely different project,
morphed into
and then it morphed into this because you already had the bones of this story or this world kind of built around it. Go on.
I mean, again, that's maybe like the history teacher in me, and background. I'm kind of like a amateur screenwriter. I don't know. So it's just like making a game by itself is kind of bland. And growing up, I play Magic now, but obviously big BattleTech guy growing up. And just all
you could tell
source books, the lore, huge. I mean, that was like my weekends. Me and my buddies just bashed each other in with our mechs.
Right.
And so, we want to make our own game, but we want to build around it. So with the lore, and that was just something I'd like to do, with storytelling. And so it's been really cool to build a story with this game, not just with like the history and the background, but telling story on the cards, right? Which is what good card games do, with the flavor text, with the art, the characters. So that was always a goal from day one. This is a foundation that we want to build off of. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. There's history here and hints of maybe things in the future, but we really wanted to make it, like you said, a kind of a lived-in world. So I'm glad that came across, because that was always just a goal from day one.
Well, like you were saying with the flavor text, one of the things I always loved with Magic, because when I started playing Magic, I had no idea other than it's just this card game and you're casting spells, blah, blah, blah. And then you start reading and kind of putting together, even just making up your own, I guess, just from the fragments of the flavor text, your own
story
idea of the stories and everything. And because your cards, I mean, there's other card games that do it, but I always appreciate it when you get the flavor text on your cards. And I also appreciate the layout of your cards and the design, the way that just the way that you've got the way different items can be equipped, the different abilities of the Ifrits, the way they're laid out. I just thought it was really intuitive. Was that hard? Or were you just kind of going off of like what's common sense? Or was it hard to balance, I guess?
Everything was hard. They originally started as just index cards, and I'm drawing layouts, right? Early. And then you go on your paint shop or and I mocked up some examples of what it could be, but then, I'm real limited on artistic ideas, yes, but execution, no. So finding a graphic designer who could really refine it and make it look good. So that was all on him. Like, I was like, yes, no, push this, push that. But with the way the cards turned out with the frames and the graphics and all that, really, my graphic designer guy named Charlie did a great job on doing all that stuff. So all kudos to him.
It looks great. Now, is he also the guy who did the art for your cards?
Like, what do you mean by art?
Like the card art, like the illustration.
Oh, no. So Charlie's just graphic design. He did like the counters, the dials, the frame.
Right on. Well, he knocked it out of the park. And your artist is great too, though.
The art team is probably 30 people. I just found randomly on the internet.
Oh, sure.
Being a no-name, nobody studio with a no-name game, just reaching out to people. And we put a lot of work into our art. And, the game is fun, but the art is pretty good. I don't want to brag too much. But, I mean, like, we got a mix of professionals, amateurs, students, hobbyists. And so, it's really cool to have a mix of different styles.
Sure. It still feels consistent, though, I feel like.
Exactly. Yeah. And then our Ifrit designer is a guy named Steven Huda, who actually worked for Iron Wind Metals and Catalyst Games Labs. So, I mean, this is just what he does, is he makes minis and models. And so getting him on board, which was a huge get. Steven's been great, but, he has no problems making these cool-looking Ifrits for us, and they look really. That was a big thing too. We wanted our Ifrits to have a little similar design language. Because when you make a mech game, there's so many different types of mechs out there, Gundam, anime, and so we really wanted obviously BattleTech heavy, right? Because we're fans of that. But we wanted just to have them all again look like they live in the same universe, and really strong designs.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bougie with my mechs.
Nothing wrong with that. They look
we
great.
like bougie.
I think my favorite mechanic. I mean, I don't know, right? Off memory, right? I could name a couple things, but one of the things I thought really felt good in how it played and that I didn't recognize from another thing is how the critical hits work in this game, because critical hits, everyone does them, right? And, you can have weak spots. You can have all these different ways to do critical hits. But I really liked how in this one, there is the classic, I believe there's 2 ways to get critical hits, right? You can either do a natural, kind of like in D&D, like a nat 20 kind of thing. And, classic critical, that's fine. But the thing that I thought was super interesting was you can try to manipulate your dice roll to where your aim perfectly hits their speed. And if your aim matches their speed of their mech directly, that's a crit. And that little mini game of trying to adjust your own aim, because it's almost like this thematic thing of them trying to dodge and you reading their dodge and shooting into their
Leading
dodge,
them on.
right?
Yeah.
And I loved that, like seeing that in play and seeing them, because you'll see cards that say you can give a plus or minus 1 to your aim. And when we were first setting up the game, we were like, well, why would you ever do a -1 to your aim? You want as good a chance to hit as possible. And then it was literally in the middle of a turn when Tim was 1 above the opponent's speed, and he said, I'm going to do a -1 to my aim. And we realized what that mechanic was there for in manipulation. And I think overall that's
the beatdown continued.
Yeah. And that was like the thing that really jumped out at me, like, oh, that's a really cool mini game you got to play of controlling that and trying to match that speed and paying attention to, obviously knowing your opponent's, because the speed is kind of their initiative too, right? And so knowing their initiative is fine too, but it gives this whole second thing to asking what your opponent's speed is because of trying to play that. Should you describe kind of how you play, right? Because there's 2 ways to win, right? I off of memory, you either take their arsenal to 0, which is their deck, meaning they've run out of equipment basically, and they must surrender, right?
You know them out, yeah.
Thematically, right? Or capture, is it 3 of the 5?
No, you have to hold all 5.
You have to hold all 5.
Turn.
That's what it is. You have to hold all 5 of the missions out here for a turn. So I don't know if you want to talk about kind of the basics of gameplay and how you're accomplishing those.
That's a huge part of the game. So the game wouldn't exist without the mission cards you have laid out in front of you, right? And that was the big stumbling block in the beginning. It's like, we want to make a card game. We know we want it mech and sci-fi based, but how can we make it different? Otherwise, it's just like a Magic clone. And it's like, what's the point if you just reskin it? And again, growing up, big Battletech player, and one of my favorite things me and my friends would do is if you ever played Battletech or something, just getting random maps, throwing them on our pool table so you had different terrain each time, and you had to fight on that. How could we get that? Well, wait a minute, it's a card game, dummy, so just make a map out of cards. So you have a mission deck, you lay 5 out, that's where you're fighting at the beginning of each game. The goal is to hold the red line. They kind of have red frames. It makes a red line between players, right? And gaining control. And so by gaining control of these missions, you get advantages as well from, taking the red line. You can flank. You can, Magic is trench warfare is what I always say. You attack, or a lot of card games, you just go in one direction. Everyone knows, terrible band, by the way. You know where it's going. They're coming straight at you, and there's not much strategy behind who's going and who's staying behind. Redline, though, again, tabletop games, you got maneuvers. So you can send your forces to flank left, to push right, to go up the middle, right? And anticipating combat simultaneous, where's your opponent going to move? Do I want to fight them now? Or am I a little weak? Do I want to avoid and stay away? So that opens up a whole different type of gameplay experience. And it all, again, comes from the missions and how they play and the goal of capturing them all. So, yeah, if you capture all 5 and can hold them, you win the game, right? You've kind of controlled the battlefield. But then we don't want games to go on forever, so there's attrition as well. You capture missions, it does damage to your deck. There's other ways as well. But, there's a clock, so games don't last forever, just like war. You just can't sit around and camp all day. We want to force players into action. So you've got to go and fight for those missions. Otherwise, if you just sit back, you're going to get overwhelmed pretty quickly, and eventually you're just going to run out of resources.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And one of my favorite mechanics, and I thought you were going to mention this, but the critical one is really good. My favorite mechanic is the dials and the assigning the locations to your mechs as your, secretly, like this is where everybody's going to go. And every once in a while you can, you might have equipment that lets you peek at somebody else's and change yours, and all that whole dynamic. Like, I just love the cat and mouse aspect of that. And also like just, the mind games that could go into that with like, okay, so I'm just gonna, and sometimes I would even, place it closer to like the side of the line, even though like, so my next here
mind game,
even though he's actually going to go all the way over here, but I mean, it's all mind games. It's all mind games. You got to use everything you got. You got to use all the weapons in your arsenal.
Everyone knows I'm a huge sucker for theme and trying to cram as much story and thematic elements into a game as you can. And again, that's one of the reasons that I when Tim showed me this, I had my eye on this really hard, is because like in my old crap card game, right? I was a similar mindset of you. How do you get terrain into this game? And like my initial idea was like, so each person would have one terrain card in their deck that was separate, and you would have a terrain line that the players would be constantly shifting back and forth between the terrain they wanted to be fighting in, as in you're pushing each other into. So I'm better in desert, you're better in jungle, so I'm pushing you into the desert and you're pushing me in the jungle, and those two cards just keep swapping, right? And so seeing how this works though with the building the terrain out, and like you're saying, it because it's, and man, again, the theme of, I love this. So there's the baseline where you can send your mechs to protect your base, your arsenal, and stuff like that, right? And they can repair and stuff like that. Then you have like your front line where they're ready to fight, and then you send them out to the red line. And I love, so not only is it just an awesome sounding word, I love red line, but then having, like you were saying earlier, the border of the mission cards is a red border, so that when you line them up, there's literally a red line between two players. And I'm just such a sucker for theme. I can't help it. But yeah, so I love, and like you were saying, the flanking, trying to make 5 cards. And some of them swap out, right? Some of them will be out the whole game and you capture them and stuff, but some of them will have like a one-time effect and then gets replaced with a different one and everything. But having this thing that feels like a terrain between the two players, and you are flanking left, and the hidden movement to try to capture, and some places are really hard to capture, so you're gonna have to send a bunch of mechs there, and then that opens up other areas that you're just gonna have to sacrifice.
There's the choke point where you can only have one.
Oh, yeah, and then there's the choke point where you guys just 1v1, try to fight over that and everything. But yeah, big fan.
The Thermopylae card,
yeah. There's basic mana, if you want to call it that, right?
Yeah,
your decks have supply drops that you tap every turn to do things. You have a resource called Reconnaissance. Is that correct? Yeah, you have a secondary resource called Reconnaissance, which are for special trap cards, I would call them, right? But they're like tactic cards that you can play to buff yourself in combat or to do other special effects, and you track your recon, and the more missions you hold, the more areas you hold, the more recon you get per turn, and you can do that. Everyone has a commander, right? What's it called in this one? Sorry, general.
General.
Yeah, everyone has a general, which you might know as a commander or something like that. I can't read. And
he lost.
and your general can either be like face down, hiding in the bunker, or face up in your HQ, giving you an asymmetric ability that you're using for
your general can also get attacked, right?
Okay.
Correct. Your general can get killed, and I think there are ways to revive them. I don't know what the ways are. Again, I was just watching people play. I have not played myself yet.
Straight from Commander, Magic, very popular format, and it was just it made a good fit for the game. So the game has a very strong Magic base, like I said, with the turns and how you drop resources and play and deploy cards. So if you've played any Magic before, you can pick it up pretty quickly.
Sure.
Combat's an entirely different animal. It's a lot more depth and strategy involved. So, but yeah, if you got a strong Magic background, you can pick this up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and we've got miniatures gaming background between us. So combat also then kind of comes intuitively.
Right.
And the way you've designed it, it all kind of works the way you think it should. There's nothing like, oh, well, that's weird. Like every time it's like, oh yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But speaking of one thing that the Magic community does not have that you do, because I saw you post this morning on the Saving Throw Studios Facebook group, was the the people they're making the Legos, the mechs out of the Legos. Yeah, so there's people that are like basically posting blueprints for how you can make
it out of Legos.
Yeah, I was reading that this morning while getting ready for the show, and I was like, "That's awesome."
That is
because
awesome.
I didn't get the mechs, like the mech pack, which I thought was really cool. I just couldn't swing it at the time. I was like, "That's really cool." Yeah. But then seeing just today that so if you're not following them on Facebook, you should go follow them on Facebook just to see the cool
Lego renditions.
You're like, hey, I got Legos. I could do that.
Yeah.
No, it's been real. I'm like, again, we kickstarted last year, and now on our like a 1-year anniversary, we got our expansion coming out very soon, which we'll get to. But like the community, it's small, and we're a small game still, but it's been awesome because there's been people, like I said, there's not just one. This guy's like making every Efreet into mini Legos, which is awesome to see. One of the backers from the last Kickstarter actually designed his own Efreet in the game, the Wind Shark. That was his personal design.
Oh wow!
But it started actually as a Lego model that he had built years ago, and now it's in Redline lore. It's a racing Efreet. That's how he made it, right?
That's
this
so
is like a bootlegging, moonshining kind of racing mech. I was like, what? Serious? I don't know. I was like, well, wait a minute. We can put that in our game. So now, the Wind Shark infers that there's like underground Efreet racing leagues in our world now, and I love that, bringing the community in.
Yeah. And it's just a whole.
That would be so cool.
It's just a whole nother layer in your world, though, right? I mean, again, it's not all just this heavy combat, us versus them. Like there's also these subgroups, right? And everything.
But like I never would have thought of that if not for the fans adding to the game.
Yeah,
one of the freaks, the Midget, we did a series of polls, like 20 different polls last year, and they picked the legs, the cockpit style, the abilities, the armor, the name, right? Mm-hmm. And so that was just the community coming together and making an Efreet from scratch. A lot of fun. We're going to do it again very soon here, but it's been really cool to see the I guess love. I don't know.
Yeah, just the people buying in, right? They're invested.
The creativity, the support. It's been awesome to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned you've got Siege, right? Redline Siege is coming up.
So like I said, the game was built to be a deck builder. What you have in front of you, our core set, is just to get an introduction to the game. And there's only so much space for putting cards and mechanics. So we cut a lot of stuff out of that core set, things we wanted to do, but we know we just didn't want to, cram it with grams. So we held back, and the idea was if we fund that we'll, an expansion will be followed up shortly. And so we didn't want to wait. We want to support the game. We sold it as an expandable card game.
Right.
We didn't want our players have to wait another year or two. Oh, by the way. So we made sure as soon as able, hey, the new expansion, it's ready to drop. Yes. And, last Kickstarter, we were still kind of making it. The game was probably 80% done when we Kickstarted last August, right? But I mean, Siege is 100%. So that's all awesome. The art, all the cards, everything is locked in this time. So if we take nothing for granted here, but I mean, the turnaround time is going to be a lot shorter because again, we're just going to go to printers and have this thing made.
Well, and your turnaround time for Redline was amazing. I couldn't believe for a small independent guy that kicks out his own game for the Kickstarter to have filled within a year, like under a year.
Yeah.
From when I was like, what? I mean, and that's just a compliment to you and your team and their work ethic and their diligence.
And your ducks for staying all in a row.
Yeah. I was really impressed. And, that's one thing. I mean, we've all backed Kickstarters that we've been waiting ages on. And when I backed yours, it's like, when I get Redline, I'll get it. We'll play it. We'll talk about it then. And then but then it's like, oh wait, it's about ready, and it's like, is it really? Is it really though? And then it's like on my doorstep, and it's like, well, crap. I guess it's ready.
Yeah,
I guess it's happening. So yeah, I didn't realize you had Siege all done. I knew just from reading stuff as you were like kind of putting out the updates and everything. Hey, like, oh, they've already got a lot. They were really ready, and it, never doubted that you guys were going to keep running with this ball. I just didn't expect it to be so quick, and that's a positive. So what are some of the things that Siege is going to do or add to Redline to expand on it?
Siege is awesome. So again, the game needs cards. Like, this game is hungry for cards. We want people to, start to build and make their own decks. And if you're a Magic player like me, like, just be, the creativity and, this is my deck, ownership. We want ownership. That means you got to be able to build something. So we wanted to give players options right away. So still small. We're not going super big yet, but it's two new decks, 2 standalone decks. One for each faction, the Crimson Pact of Mars, United Nations of Earth. So each deck is a full, complete deck, but we want to give players options. So each deck has 2 new generals inside of it, so you can expand your deck building opportunities. Each deck plays same cards, but like I said, the static abilities of your general, that deck is flexible enough that it goes with each general, right? New mechanics for each faction, new universal things, new mission cards. This is a benefit of the mission deck system. Like your online shooters, Call of Duty and stuff. They do map packs all the time to keep the game fresh. So that's something we want to do as well. So introducing new missions into your mission deck, so to just change up the variety of the terrain and the battlefields you fight on, new possibilities. New strategies to come up with. We got a new line of miniatures coming out as well. Again, you don't need them to play the game. It's cosmetic, but a lot of players like them, and they're top-notch miniatures all the way. Like I said, the guy who makes them for us is professional. And so it's just, again, more opportunities. That's what we really wanted, to give players the tools to start to grow this game now and make their own creations. Give them the tools to play with.
That's awesome. I look forward to seeing more cards for this game, because after playing, that was the one of my first thoughts was like, okay, so when you get more cards, like, what are the ways you're going to streamline this and make this fit your personality or your play style, right? And that's one of the things about, like, any good LCG, TCG, is really just finding that deck that hums for you.
Right.
Plays
the way you want to play.
Yeah, because
matches your play style.
You could make a deck and I could make a deck. We could swap and we would not play them the same way.
Correct.
We may
my deck would be much more smooth, whereas yours is like clunky and slow. But
accurate.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could take, we could take the same decks out of this, and you're gonna play that deck differently, and then you're gonna customize. Even if we're given the same
cards to work from,
you're gonna customize yours differently to fit your play style. And it's so much fun to try to experiment with the different, just the different types. Like, I'm going to go all fast, or I'm going to just go with all tanks.
Yeah, so you're going to be able to take the new expansion stuff and the old stuff and kind of like mix and match and just build your own. Awesome. Yeah.
Universal sign.
Yeah. That's funny, sorry.
I'm not going to make them. Yeah, exactly. Mix mash them together. Like I said, the generals support different play styles. So there's a general who is like a light of freak rush down deck, right? If you want to build around lights. There's another one who is about milling. So if you just want to do the war of attrition, right? That's a strength right there. Another one is all about like landmines, which is a new mechanic we were happy to bring back. We kind of wanted to do it in the core set, but pulled back. But kind of booby trapping the missions.
I love it.
So whittle down your forces and do some incremental damage. So a lot of different options here, and that's been a lot of fun to really finally. It's so constraining when you have 100 cards to try and make a game, and there's so many things you want to do, but having that restraint and be like, be patient. And,
right.
It's coming, but you gotta do it in baby steps.
I like that you use the term milling.
Yeah, that's such a magic.
Because we know what that means. That's great.
Such a magic term.
Okay, Redline's called raising, but
So
that's awesome.
This will come out after Siege launches, because Siege is going to launch is it launch tomorrow from when we're filming this?
Hey, August 17th. Kickstarter.
Okay,
Redline
so
Siege.
2 days from filming.
Yeah.
So this will be out the day after Siege launches.
Okay.
So
All right. There you go.
I'm going to ask you this, and you can answer if you want. So what's your price point for the 2 new decks? And then, like, what are some of the Kickstarter, like, pledged levels?
So each expansion deck is $18. That's a 64 card deck, 2 new generals, all new Ifrits, 2 new mission cards in each one, right? And one that supports each faction, the Crimson Pact of Mars, United Nations of Earth. Besides that, we got a ton of great bonuses. Each expansion deck comes with some promos. Promos are a big part of gaming cards these days.
Yeah. And Kickstarter, right?
Yeah.
Maybe some companies take it to an extreme.
Yes.
But we wanted to have some promos for ours because they're fun and players like them. So again, being the history teacher that I am and wanting to do something unique that hasn't been done because there's so many different types of promo cards. We have World War II posters. So we made some art for our cards that's kind of, plays off or pays homage to some old World War II posters from the day. Nice. It's a good fit thematically. They look really cool. So you can get some special World War II edition cards. We also have our first stretch goal is, we just shared this the other day. I don't know if you saw it, Tim. But again, being a 90s gamer kid, Battletech and other things, like just that old kind of like black and white line art that you would see in books
I like it.
Is just part of that time period. You didn't have all the digital illustration that we have now. And so we have what are called our throwback cards. So 6 cards, 1 for each deck, but it's reprints of some some old core set and new Siege cards, but they all have that kind of classic 90s RPG art, and the art is beautiful. It's really good. I don't want to say it's better than some of the old books you may have read as a kid growing up, but we got lucky, and again, we found a guy on the internet who's kind of doing this as a hobby, and I'm like, oh man, I need you. I got to get you on here.
Yeah.
So he did 12 illustrations for us, and it's called the Throwback Pack. You'll see it when you go on there.
Nice.
And it looks like it was literally just ripped from a 90s RPG book. Sure. It looks so good.
That's awesome. So I got to ask, because we talk about Kickstarters a lot, and I always get picky about like the way they do tiers. So for somebody like me, who I've already got this, is there like one pledge that I can click that just gives me all the new stuff? And then for somebody like Bob, who hasn't backed this yet, but now might be interested, is there like one pledge he can pick that just gives him everything and
the core game?
OG Redline.
Yeah.
We got a lot of different pledge levels. We got a lot of product. We got 2 different expansion decks, and we know you got to have the core set to play because you need your dials, your missions, your critical hits. And so you can also order the core set as well. So there's tons of different there's a lot of pledge levels, just because we want to make sure that everybody can we're still early in the game life cycle. We're in our infancy. But you can still get on and not miss anything. So you can get everything. Cool. You can just get one expansion and add on the core set, or get the core set and the expansions. You get all the goodies. It's up to you what you want to get.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I like hearing that.
Yep.
Sometimes I've been a victim of trying to do like a la carte on Kickstarter and not getting everything. And it's like, just give me the one thing that I can click that gives me
the stuff I need.
Gives me all my stuff.
Yeah.
and I can just be done with it. So it just makes life so much easier for me as a lazy person.
Right.
To just go, oh yeah, ding. I got this one. Okay, I got everything I was supposed to get. Perfect. I'm very excited about that. So
cool. Yeah, like I said, we put a lot of work into it. It looks great. It really adds to the game. The core set was designed with a lot of ideas in mind.
Sure.
Just woke up here, so
that's all right.
It really, the core set plays great. But it sings when you add Siege to it, because that was kind of more our original vision from the start.
Right.
Sure.
But we had to work our way up to there. Sure. So yeah, it's really cool.
That leads me to ask a question. Since Siege is close to your original
I've been waiting,
vision,
man. I was going to ask you, like, what else you got to say?
Oh, well. Can we expect more? Do you have more in the works coming?
After
new
Siege?
Expansions or things like that?
Post-Siege?
Post-Siege.
Siege. Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of nonstop. So, I mean, last COVID, a year ago, we were building Redline, and then the Kickstarter and marketing was its whole entity. As soon as we funded, getting it made, production, and then designing Siege, like, this has been my life for the better part of like a year and a half now. So it'd be nice maybe to take a little break, but it's fun. I really like doing this. So it's not, I found my niche, maybe, I guess you could say.
Sure.
Finally. Answer your question, yes. We would love to expand. We got ideas for different factions that we want to bring into the game. And that was always from the start, but again, we want to be responsible and work up to that. New Mafreets, new mechanics, lots of, maybe even new formats. A lot of people have been asking for multiplayer.
I was going to ask, will Siege ever
go multiplayer?
Or Redline, will Redline ever go beyond 2v, 1v1?
1v1. Yeah, maybe with some kind of like a mercenary faction or something like or some kind of corporate faction trying to take over one of the two.
Okay, you just nailed it. There you go. Yeah. So the new factions are going to be mercenary faction and the corporate industrial faction.
Yeah,
nailed it. Cool.
I do love the idea.
We want to do multiplayer, and the problem with solo and multiplayer is because this game is built around simultaneous combat,
right?
And mission dials. It's really hard to.
That seems one of my most favorite mechanics, by the way. Just that whole hidden movement and the thing
you,
that
Bob, you are going to
love
freak
hidden movement.
out.
Yeah.
Totally. But it doesn't lend itself well to be
multiple
solo
people.
play. So
Yeah.
that's a hurdle.
Oh, okay.
And then another thing is just if you got a 4-player game, just all the different dials, and it can get very complicated. So finding a way to streamline that and still have the game be smooth, because we don't want to get crushed by the burden of its own weight. We have ideas, but again, we've just been so focused here on the base game and the expansion and any other formats.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we'd like to. Yes, we have ideas, but are they coming anytime soon? Not yet.
Sure. Now, when is Redline coming to organized play, where you start having tournaments?
You're not the first person to ask. Again, just give us a couple years, and if the demand is there, we'll try. But again, right now that's just so far gone.
No. It's just I like the idea that this is, it's really ambitious to create and launch an LCG, and it's very heartening to see that the expansion is like hot on its heels. Like this is almost like if you were playing some other mainstream LCG put out by a big company, it's like, well, yeah, every 3 quarters you might get a new expansion for
a new character. Or
new
this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like for you guys to even come remotely close to that, right? I mean, like, because Siege, assuming it funds, flips, it's going to be filled again in under a year, more than likely, if you continue to have your current luck.
Right.
And then it's like, I mean, that's boom. That's
pretty good turnaround.
That is good turnaround for a from scratch LCG.
Yeah, it's not like you have like a core material like to start pulling from, right?
Right,
Like some of the big ones
and then a whole
now.
team of designers and developers. Just making stuff.
Army
for
of
you.
people in the background. Yeah.
So
there's a lot of CCGs and LCGs that come to Kickstarter too, and they do not all succeed. So it's cool to see.
That's true.
It's cool to see one that succeeded, and that people seem to be really liking. I wanted to jump back really quick. I don't think it would actually work mechanically at all, but I just want to point out how awesome I do think the theme would be for a third faction who is more corporate and doesn't even actually want to fight over the stuff, but wants to control how everyone else is fighting over the stuff.
Oh, like just like distributing like resources to people,
Yeah,
like
totally.
they're behind.
Like,
you
yeah.
know,
I don't think that would work mechanically
right,
at all.
right.
No,
Theme-wise.
they'd have
They
their
have a
own
different
totally separate mechanic.
WinCon. Yeah, they're like a separate WinCon. They're just trying to make them run out of cards.
Super easy to design. It's just a whole new mechanic.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do. Just go ahead, go for it.
But yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, easy peasy.
Yeah.
That's all we do is we just throw a whole bunch of
Ideas.
nonsense at you.
That's all right.
See what sticks.
Yep.
But well, you guys got any other questions? You got other stuff? If we missed anything, I guess
Anything
more
you wanna
importantly, anything
interject?
else
Yeah.
you want to hit on?
like I said, we talk about the mechanics, what makes the game different, where it came from, the Siege Kickstarter.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, there will obviously be a link in the description to the Kickstarter.
Yep.
Yeah, so if this releases the day after, we're in our first 48 hours still, and our goal really is to try and fund that first 48. Last time, I think we barely squeaked across that finish line the last day.
Yeah.
We're a super small studio.
Yeah.
Studio is even like being a little gracious with what we have here.
Sure.
Right? We've got a lot of talent on the team, but we all have other day jobs that we do. And
right.
single father you saw earlier here.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work. We've had a lot of fun doing it. We hope the game plays and looks as good as we think, and we like the people are warming, coming around and seeing it. And
you're an established commodity now, though. You know what I mean? So this time around, hopefully
that helps a little bit. But again, it's just Kickstarter is just so nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And it's like, did we do enough? We don't want to keep postponing it. And eventually, you just got to draw a line in the sand. Like, here we go. We've done all the work we can do, and let's the market will decide if it's good enough. But I mean, we hope that we've proven ourselves with getting a product out on time and following up right away. We try to make it as quality as possible. And again, from day one, we didn't want to look like the amateurs that we are. So
fake it till you make it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I mean, it's a lot of talented people working here. And we're just want the opportunity to keep working on the game, I guess.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Hey, the only difference between an amateur and a professional is that a professional is an amateur who didn't quit.
Oh, listen.
How deep?
Yeah.
From the
literary.
From the Reiner panel. There you go, Spencer.
Hey, I'm gonna get on my soapbox here, but I mean, look at you guys right here in your studio, right?
Yeah.
Like, I used to teach entrepreneurship, so it's just kind of like this is another little passion. But if you ever have an idea, something you've always wanted to do, people talk all the time, right? One day, and this used to be me, like, oh, I got this idea, and talk is cheap. Like, if you want to do something, just do it. Like, if I had any idea what it would take to make, design, test, produce, ship, market a card game, I still would have done it. But I mean, I wouldn't maybe have been so enthusiastic. But there's so much technology out there that really levels the playing field.
Really does.
Like, if you don't have a certain skill like me, graphic design or making whatever, go find somebody that can do it on the internet. There's tons of talented people out there, right? Who also have ideas and want to get things done. But really just like you said, an amateur is someone who's not, or a professional is an amateur who started or
who didn't
quit. I'm butchering your quote.
Yeah. We do it all the time. It's fine.
Just get out there and work and learn as you go and make those mistakes and get better from them and improve and upgrade. But I mean, I'm getting off my soapbox. Just go do it. Because you can't do it if you put in the work. And it's a lot of work, and that's what turns people off. Oh, it's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
Oh, I got to grind. Grinding's a big part of it. But grind and you'll do it.
Yep. Yeah, you're not wrong, man.
Quick question, because a lot of people have been doing this lately. Is there a way for people to try out Redline on Tabletop Simulator or anything like that currently?
No.
Just wondering. It's just
people have asked.
popular.
I'm not a fan of Tabletop Simulator. A couple of reasons. I like the player interaction.
Yeah.
And, my computer doesn't run Tabletop Simulator very well. And again, Redline, just with the dials and the some games translate very well to Tabletop Simulator. Redline is just the simultaneous combat again is kind of it's hard to translate. I feel with the dials and stuff like that. So maybe one day people do ask, but again, right now we only have so many hours in a day.
Yeah,
right.
If we did that, Siege would still be a long ways away.
Right.
So again, the focus is on paper, and that's what we want to do right now. And given the time and resources, we can definitely look into that. But short answer right now is sorry, no.
So the real question or the real answer is then join the Facebook groups and follow on the social media. Reach out to that community and go, hey, who near me has Redline so I can play it? Because obviously, if they're part of that group, they will want to play it, and they will want to teach somebody else how to play it.
I mean, most games that are on tabletop simulator stuff are made by some random person in the community anyway, and not the game developer. So it could just
ape it anyway. So that's okay. But I mean, of course, that comes with everything you need for 2 players. So as long as you got a friend and you got a copy, you're good to go. You don't need anything else.
Yep.
So
cool.
Right on, man. Well, hey, thank you very much for coming on. I know you got a ton of stuff going on, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I really appreciate
more video editing after this.
Lucky you. But I really appreciate you taking the time because I know you got a Kickstarter that is getting ready to go, and hopefully it blows up. Hopefully you're done in 48 hours. Get that 48-hour funding goal. Because if everybody that backed Redline the first time and maybe you get a few extra, you should be fine.
Yeah, again, we want to grow off of what we got, but again, it's just so nerve-wracking because you never know how those things work out. But I want to thank you, Tim, and the guys, because you were early on the bandwagon last year.
Yeah. Hey, well, thanks for recognizing that. We were.
You were with shout-outs and stuff, and that's a big part of the gaming community now is getting those connections and stuff, influencers like yourself. So I really appreciate taking the time today on my little game. But again, you guys were here from day one.
Well, we have a saying. We're really happy to provide that 6 backer bump.
That's right.
From all of our viewers.
4 or 5. Let's not.
That's fair.
Let's not self-block.
That is
super appreciative, and I like to build relationships and keep people close. So let's do it again. This is fun. I like it.
And I want to reiterate, anyone still watching, don't forget to check out the link in the description. By the time you see this video, the Kickstarter will be live. So if you've made it this far, definitely click on that link and check it out.
It's worth the look, for sure. And if you're in Northern Indiana, hit us up and we'll play Redline with you. It's that easy.
That's true. We host, actually, once a month, we host events where we get people together and play games.
That's right. So guys, for the board game rundown, thank you for watching. This has been Cameron from Saving Throw Studios, and we've been talking about Redline Tactical Card Combat. See you next time.
Thank you.
That's it. Right on. Thank you, Cameron.
Thank you.
Yes.
Really appreciate it, man.
Great talk.
That's fun.
Yep, let's go.
Let's go.
Now we need to leave that awkward pause in.
Thanks for checking out the Board Game Rundown. If you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share our videos on social media and spread the word. We publish new content weekly, including reviews, unboxing, and Let's Plays. And as always, thanks for watching.